It's obviously dead season in terms of real football content, but that's when, the hot takes start to fly. When you say anything to make a headline, we're obviously not going to be doing that. We're going to be trying to give our honest opinion on how we would tier the quarterbacks. I'm not going to rank them.
There's going to be some people pissed off very quickly on these rankings, and I can't. Well, I'm here for it, Mike.
We'll see. I'm actually curious to see who you think are the ones that will piss people off, because obviously I don't listen to a lot of the comments in terms of like who people think are great. I know there's probably one that I have, and we'll get to it when we get to it, that will make some people upset, but it's a fan base that you're really never going to please, right? So I'm not too worried about that. But we'll start with here's how we're doing it. We have a B, C, D, and F tier, like grading. A, B, C, D, and F tier. We also have a U tier, which is just like, I have no clue what to make of it. Unknown.
Wild card.
Just I'm not gonna put them in any tier because it's stupid to do so, because we don't know what they're gonna be this year.
Could be a 2, could be an ace.
100%. And then we have the S tier, which is just your superhuman tier. So let's get into it. Let's start with the U tier. Yep. Unknowns. Guys who is just like, you just either haven't seen him play enough football, or for other reasons, I'm not going to rank them on this list. That consists of Cam Ward of Tennessee Titans, #1 overall pick. JJ McCarthy of the Minnesota Vikings. Again, obvious reasons for both those guys. They haven't played a down football in the NFL. Aaron Rodgers of the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll get to his reasons in a second. Caleb Williams and Michael Penix Jr. So I'll start with Rodgers. Why put him in this tier? As I'm almost choking. He, in last year's offense, with Nathaniel Hackett, without a running game, I thought, like, for what he was given, he was awesome. But he's also, at 41 years old, going to now a completely new offense with Arthur Smith. It's just like there's so many unknowns. His body could completely degrade at this point in his career. He's, susceptible. You're more susceptible to injury at that point. Injuries don't recover the same way, even minor injuries. You're just very susceptible. And it's just hard to understate how awful that situation was last year, how unbelievably bad that offense was schemed compared to the rest of the NFL, and just how bad his receivers were. He had the highest drop rate from his wide receivers, 9.6% of any quarterback since 2019. Like, it was just, there was so much bad going on around that team that I can't just drop him in these rankings and say I know where he's going to be this year. So put him as an unknown. And then Caleb Williams is probably the only other one that really needs explaining in this, because he played a full season. But I think there's obvious reasons here. One was the turmoil that was the Chicago Bears. Talking about how you saw the article from Seth Wickersham about how he's just basically had no guidance in terms of watching film, was just kind of flying blind into year one. About like what to do in terms of preparation, and then just multiple different offense coordinators. And he was always going to be a project and coming into the NFL. Like, that was, if you watch him at USC, that was kind of known. So 68 sacks, most in the NFL. The worrisome thing to me was the pressure to sack conversion ratio. He 28.2% was far and away the highest in the NFL. 24.4% was second. And that basically, pressure sack conversion is how often are you making pressures, times where, pockets collapsing, guys bearing down on you. How often are you making those plays into sacks? If you're above 20%, that's bad. If you're above 25%, that's completely untenable. Elite guys are in the 12% or below range.
Was 24.5 the second place finisher in that statistic? Was it CJ Stroud?
It was Baker Mayfield was second.
Mayfield. Well, so, not a bad room to be in. If you're going to be in
hell,
it's not. If you're going to be in hell, be with Baker Mayfield at least.
It's not like I said, over 25% is kind of untenable. It's going to be very difficult. You're going to have a great offensive line, the way Baker did, right? Baker had probably top 5 offensive line in terms of pass protection. If you want to really keep your offense on track, you need that. So that's the biggest thing for him to figure out, for him to change from year 1 to year 2. It's got to be that.
Okay, so 2 comments. First and foremost, if you've ever played Call of Duty and you have a bad team, you just continue to get swarmed throughout the game. No matter what your kill-death ratio is, you're looking around, you're screaming into the mic saying, "Where is my team?" That was Aaron Rodgers dealing with the drops for the Jets. And when I watched the Jets, it was frustrating to no end to watch the lack of help that he got. Add to that the instability at the head coach position, the defenses fall off from their place of, an elite level defense. when Saleh was let go. Completely understand how Aaron Rodgers could be an unknown. I don't think it's one of those unknowns that's like, well, he had an injury, he's 40. Because as I've said time and time again, we give all these position players benefit of the doubt. We give them 1 year to fully rehab their bodies, and we don't necessarily judge them 100% on the product they're showing until it's been a calendar year. This is why it's an unknown for him, because we're going to have an offensive coordinator working with Aaron Rodgers this year. The offense, in my opinion, is going to look centuries fresher than the one that we saw in New York. And quite honestly, I just think that being in Pittsburgh is going to serve him so much better than being in that New York media market. Going to Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams reminds me of Anakin Skywalker from The Phantom Menace. And if you've ever seen The Phantom Menace, there was an important scene where they went pod racing. I'm not sure if you're familiar with pod racing.
Yes. Okay?
They're on the desert.
Big pod racer.
Big pod racer. So Anakin Skywalker, Caleb Williams, at the very beginning of the race, gets like his flux capacitor clipped by the mean guy with the big cheeks. And, it was tough sledding at the very beginning of the race. He's on the unknown list because he could be in the A tier at the end of this year. He could also end up in the tier where it's like, I'm still a little bit worried because of the numbers that you talked about, the sack rate, the pressure rate. One thing I love about Caleb Williams, he takes care of the football and can make throws off schedule. The thing that I need to see from Caleb Williams this year is being on time and in rhythm in that offense. Yeah. And if Ben Johnson can find a way to keep his quarterback clean through a sense of urgency and getting the ball out, the sky's the limit for this guy. Michael Penix just got to stay healthy. I loved what I saw from this guy last year. JJ McCarthy, a lot of questions. Cam Ward, freak show. How are they going to just roll this guy out there? What does it look like week one? How much better does it look at the end of the season? This is a good U tier, Mike.
All right. If I had to like throw these guys into a tier, just like guess, like end of the year, what am I thinking? I think we'll say I think Michael Penix goes to B tier. He was sensational last year in limited time. He had the highest big time throw rate in the NFL. Doesn't take sacks, but it was only 114 dropbacks. I think he goes B tier. I think I'd go Caleb Williams C tier, Aaron Rodgers B tier, JJ McCarthy C tier, and then Cam Ward probably F tier. But it's a rookie quarterback hit in the NFL. He could be D tier. He could be higher. I don't know. That is more often than not the standard assumption with the rookie quarterback is it's not going to be good, right?
I would disagree with you on the rookie, Cam Ward, because we have seen, I always remember the recent past more than I remember the past. And in recent memory, these rookie quarterbacks show up and they're unafraid and they go out there and they let it fly. Cam Ward, I've read nothing but good things about his ability to prepare, his habits in the building, outside of the building. The guys love him so far. Obviously, he had the physical tools. Being in South Florida, he was on every TV and every restaurant and every barber shop and every bar that we went to. The Miami Hurricanes were on, and there was this guy, Cam Ward, who could do things physically that looked easier than the other guys. His X factor is the stuff that he's doing off the field. I think he could show up and have a really good year. I would go D tier with Cam Ward instead of F tier.
I hope so, because the one thing he has in his corner that the most of the quarterbacks that succeeded last year, experience. I mean, he's one of the most experienced quarterbacks to hit the NFL ever. 5 years as a starter, over 2,500 dropbacks in his collegiate career. Compare that to someone like Trey Lance who had under 400. And it's like, this guy has been through the ringer. So I hope so. I hope so for Titan fans' sake. Let's get to the F tier, though.
All right.
And I call this the we're screwed tier. It's just, if you're going to win games, it's going to have to be on other people. And I put two unknowns in here, but it's unknown because it's the Saints and the Browns. Whoever starts, right? Whoever starts for them, I think you can be pretty safe to say that it's not going to be great. So they're obviously unknowns, but I put them in the F tier just because I think the upside of anyone who's starting there is not high. And then I also threw Anthony Richardson. And that's it. That's your only F tier. Like, those are the only teams in the NFL going into this season. So, just saying, like,
pull up.
It's not going to be good.
Pull up.
Yeah. Like, hey, it's not going to be good.
Terrain.
That's your only F tier.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, the upside with Anthony Richardson is so juicy and flavorful that it keeps guys like you and me interested. But going to the well time and time again, and me saying to myself, is this an old article or a new article about his shoulder, about his habits, about the opinion of the people in his locker room of him? Am I in the locker room? Can I see it first person? No. Firsthand, no. But, at a certain point, where there's smoke, there's fire. Until Anthony Richardson proves me otherwise, and you obviously as well, he's in the F tier.
Yeah, and I mean, you could even put, if it's Daniel Jones, he's also in this tier, unfortunately. That's just where you're at the Colts. And now I lean towards Richardson starting just because of what he could be. Daniel Jones, you've seen enough to know what he is. Anthony Richardson, there's something about what he could be that's still intriguing, but at this point,
and we love football. We're rooting for the guy to be great, because I want to see two defensive ends converge on this guy at 11 yards without stepping up in the pocket, and him just launch the ball like a trebuchet 75 yards down the field into the fingertips of whoever the hell's down there. He's got God-given talent. Man, oh man, if he can just figure it out.
I actually went back and watched some of him at Florida, because I watched Lenora Sellers in depth. I don't know. We're going to get into some draft combo here, but Lenora Sellers is the South Carolina quarterback.
Okay.
He is comparable physically to Anthony Richardson, which is a crazy thing to say, but if you watch this guy's tape, he's going to run, 6'3", 240. He's going to run like a 4.5, and he can throw the ball 70 plus yards. Like, he has a hose. He's like in the same mold of just unbelievably gifted quarterback. And it made me go back and watch some Anthony Richardson at Florida just to be like, what did he look like at Florida compared to him at South Carolina? It's just like, good Lord, what this guy brings to the table physically is so crazy that if accuracy improves to, just, I don't even say below average, but like below average NFL, if it actually improves to below average NFL accuracy, he is a franchise quarterback with all the other stuff he brings to the table physically.
Dude, you just go put on the Bills tape. And if I tell you that guy who was vying for an MVP last year, his biggest red flag was accuracy issues, you would look at me and say, what are you, crazy? The guy's 6'6" and he's 250, runs a 4.5. Like, I don't give a shit about his accuracy. Well, it's so bad with Anthony Richardson that we start to care about it. And they've got the same type of physical makeup where it's like X-Men running around with football.
Get him with Tom House and get him on that base, the Josh Allen base. And we can start to talk.